I read an email from my sister a few minutes ago. She writes these epic emails every week. And this email was about how she loved the stars. And there was a little story intermingled about how what it was like to grow up with her sister, who was always harassing her about wiggling as she fell asleep at night. And she was talking about how I've always been a morning person and she's always been a night person. So when we were sent to bed at 8:30 at night as kids, I would just fall right to sleep and she would toss and turn and toss and turn. And her tossing and turning would keep me, this auditory processor who's really affected by sound, awake. And she, like in her email, she's like, my sister would say in this sleepy voice, stop moving. And then she said later, I can't remember how she worded it, but she was like, she had this shrill shriek and told me to hold still. And then our dad would come in the room and yell at us and put it all to bed. And it was so interesting because as I read that email, I thought how gracious she was for not saying how freaking mean I was to her. Like I was so mean to her growing up. And I was the big sister. I'm the oldest of three. And I just remember being furious with her all the time and being really angry and just saying and doing the meanest things to her. And I messaged her after I read it and I said, thanks for not telling people what a raging bitch I actually was to grow up with. And she said, no, you weren't. You weren't like that. And I said that, like, that's not how I remember it. Because when I look back at my childhood, I just remember this like mean, crabby, grumpy kid. And she sent me this email back. And I am going to read this with a straight face, meaning I'm not going to get overly emotional. She said, your heart was and is beautiful. You hurt inside because your heart was gentle and hopeful. But you were told your heart carried darkness. Yes, I was. You dealt with that abuse. And I don't know if I would call it abuse, but that's how she contextualizes it in a more functional way than I ever could, which I also disagree with. I think she's dealt with it in a really functional way. She's an amazing human. I think your rear view mirror is reflecting your view instead of what is actually behind you. You taught me to tie my shoes. You taught me to dress up. You taught me that pretending makes it possible. You walked me down the road by the hand when I had rubbed my eyes shut from cat allergies. You taught me to roller skate. You walked with me in the dark when I couldn't sleep. You never blamed me when you were being punished unfairly for just being a normal kid, even though I never stood up for you. You were a good kid, Lori. And I read that and it ties in with something I've been talking about lately that I kind of did it. I kind of pulled it off, which is when we look at somebody like they're a bad person, that belief is reflected in our countenance, in our body language, in our microfacial expressions. And they pick up on that. It's like we're having two conversations. We're having a conversation with the words that are coming out of our mouth, and we're having a conversation with the nonverbal cues that we are giving one another, often which are going through beneath the surface of our awareness. We don't even realize that we're picking up what that person is putting down, but we are. And when we look at someone and we look at them through the eyes of blame and guilt, and we think of them as broken or messed up or a bad person, it strips them of their ability to do better. It actually, the word I want to use is incapacitates, and I don't know if that's the right word. It pulls them, it removes their resources that allow them to do better, because they start to see themselves through your eyes. And if they believe they are a bad person, it's really, really hard for them to do otherwise. Now, of course, there are so many different contexts where you could place this, but I'm going to do it in the context of parenting. If you have kids, or like in my case, grandkids who sometimes screw up and do things they shouldn't, when we look at them like they're bad kids and then we treat them like they're naughty, it actually makes them, it makes it harder for them to do the right thing, because they, if we have this identity of I'm a bad kid, then how are we supposed to do good as, when we are a bad person? So I don't know. I just felt like making this video right now. Sometimes I think, oh, I should make a video about that. And then I wait and then I don't feel like it later. And I don't remember all the aha moments that were coming from my heart. So I just wanted to say this in this moment. When people screw up, be gracious with them, see them as their potential for good, believe the best in them, look at them through the eyes of hope and the eyes of love, and that will unlock resources inside them. When they see their worth and their value reflected in their eyes, in your eyes, that also comes across non-verbally, and they start to have hope and they start to think about ways that they can do better and be better. I don't know if I'll put this video up or not, but I recorded it in the spur of the moment. And if you found value from it, it means that I did put it up. And if you didn't find value, it either means I didn't put it up or you thought it sucked. If you're watching this on YouTube, I double dare you to subscribe to my channel and leave a comment below. Have an amazing day.